What's going on, guys? It's Hank from Sprues and Brews, and today I'm super excited to be sharing my next project with you all. It's another 1/48 scale aircraft build, but it's a subject I've never built before, so I'm super stoked to give this one a go. Now we're gonna jump forward a little bit here, out of World War II, and we're gonna move into the 50s. We're gonna be taking on this classic, this icon of the Cold War. This is Italeri's 1/48 scale F-86E Sabre. Now, I'm gonna be building this up as part of a group build on Instagram. If you're interested in joining this group build, it's open to anybody, and there's a ton of really talented and super nice modelers that are involved with this. It's running through March 1st, and if you're interested in doing that, or just trying to check out some of the other awesome stuff that people are working on, I'll talk more about that at the end of the video, so make sure you stay tuned. So for today, we're gonna do an unboxing and a first look review of this kit. I'm super excited to crack this open because even though this was released in 2020 with these new decals, this is actually a pretty old kit. It's from 1979, and the article that I read about it on Fine Scale Modeler said that this is actually the 19th reissue of this particular kit, which is crazy. So I'm super curious to see how the parts hold up, see how the engineering is, and see if this is a kit we're gonna be able to make something kind of nice out of. I am gonna share this whole process with you guys, but we're gonna do it in 3 videos, I think. Today's video is gonna be the unboxing, that first look review, like I said. The second video will be the full build process, and then our third video is gonna be the painting and the decals and the weathering. So stay tuned for those other ones. Make sure you turn on the bell for notifications and subscribe for the rest of these videos and for more awesome scale modeling content. In addition to the kit itself here, I picked up some aftermarket decals because I'm still not totally sure what scheme I want to do. I think I'm leaning towards a Korean War US Air Force aircraft. These orange stripes are just so iconic, so I think I'm gonna go something along those lines. But in any case, we'll walk through the whole kit here. We'll see all the sprues, see the instruction manual, the decals that are included with the kit itself, and we'll take a peek at these aftermarket decals. So with all that said, you guys know the drill. Grab yourself a beverage, get cozy, let's check it out. All right, gang, let's get right into the first look review here. Right off the bat, beautiful box art from Italeri. We've got a pair of F-86 Sabres in a Bundesluftwaffe scheme from the 1960s. I know in the intro I said this is most iconically a 50s aircraft, but it actually had a pretty long service life, which gives us modelers lots of options to work with. On the bottom of the box, we've got a simple description in a few different languages there for all of our international builders, which is lovely to see. And then on the top, we've got the 4 schemes that come included in the kit. So you can do the Bundesluftwaffe scheme that's on the cover here. We've got a US Air National Guard marking on the bottom left, an Italian marking on the top right, and a Canadian marking on the bottom right. So nice diverse group of decals here. So that's super exciting. The kit comes saran wrapped, which is always a good sign, and we've got a couple of pieces of tape here to keep it sealed shut. So we will cut those open and we can pop the top off here and see what we've got inside. Right off the bat, we're met with the decal sheet, which is protected. That is also a good sign. And this is a good start already. We've got a ton of decals on here, and I really like that the 4 different scheme offerings are kind of broken up with this dotted line here. That's actually super helpful when you're trying to work through this. You're not hunting and pecking for a bunch of different decals as that process goes along. And it looks like all the stencils and the common markings are on the bottom, which is super helpful. So good start. They look pretty thin, which is a good sign as well. We'll see how they hold up in practice when we're actually applying those later. Here's our instruction booklet. Gonna set that aside. We'll check that out after we look at the parts. And here are all of our part sprues. They are sealed in their own little plastic baggie. So let's cut that open and look at each one of these one at a time. Okay, so our first sprue here is the clear sprue. This is mostly made up of our canopy, the windscreen and the rear blown canopy. Both look pretty solid molds, which is great. A little thick, but you know what? No worries there. It's an old kit. And then we've got some other canopy components here. Those 2 pieces in the back, I think, are the rear of the canopy. Not sure why those were molded in clear parts, but they look like they've got enough detail, so no worries there. We'll check those out during the build process. Our second sprue, this is mostly the sides of the fuselage here. Kind of hard to see, but we do have recessed panel lines, which is good. We should be able to make those pop quite a bit after we paint and add some pin washes and stuff. And we've got a nice interesting detail in the back here for the interior of the air brakes. Some really simple molding in there, but I think for somebody that wanted to do some scratch building and spruce those up a bit, there's a good opportunity there. So yeah, there's a better shot of those. Moving over on this same sprue, we've got 2 Sidewinder missiles and the tail fins there. These will only be used for the Bundesluftwaffe markings. Those wouldn't have been around for the Korean War aircraft. And here is the well, the main well for our cockpit, I believe. Pretty sparse, but you know what? Classic kit. What can you expect? This next sprue here has some more of our cockpit details. Looks like we've got our ejector seat here with some big old molded in straps there, seat belts. Classic kit. Again, what can you expect? This is our front landing gear well, I believe. That's going to sit right under the cockpit. And then we've got some other details in here. We've got the flight stick, and it looks like some pneumatic controls for the air brakes and stuff. And then on the very end, we've got a split landing gear, a split tire here. So we're going to have some seam line cleanup to do during the build here. But again, nothing we can't handle. We'll take it all in stride. Our next sprue has the lower portion of that iconic swept wing of the F-86. We've got some decent recessed panel line detail in here, again, like we saw on the sides of the fuselage, so that should give us plenty of room to help make those pop during the finishing process, during the weathering process. And there are also some holes drilled in here already for the 2 drop tanks that we'll put on. We've got some landing gear components down here, some other flap assemblies. These are the main gun ports for the machine guns, and then our 2 horizontal stabilizers. Interesting thing here, and I read another review online about this, these have raised panel lines for some reason. It's like the only part on the kit that has the old school, super old school raised panel lines, which not great, but you know what? We'll take it. That's the only part of the aircraft that has the old school raised panel lines. That's okay. Moving on to our final sprue. It's a pretty busy one. This has the upper parts of our wing here and our drop tanks and a bunch of other stuff. But same story as before. We got some nice recessed panel lines on the wings. Interesting note here, the pitot tube is already molded into that right wing. That makes me nervous. I don't want to break that off. We've got our drop tank assemblies here with a split seam right down the middle, so those are going to need some cleanup. Our pylons for the external equipment there, pylons for the sidewinders if you are to make the Bundesluftwaffe version. Here is our engine intake on the front there. It's blocked off in the back, which I'm not sure how I feel about that, but I do think that there is an intake cover, so I'll probably put that on there. This will be in like the landed position anyway, so we'll make it look like it's sitting on the tarmac. So yeah, that is our last sprue. Let's move on and take a peek at the instruction manual here and see what the actual build is going to look like. Okay, so on our first page, we've got a quick little historical write-up, some context about the aircraft itself, which we love to see. Love a bit of historical context over here at Sprues and Brews. So I'll hover on that for a second if y'all want to read that. So let's flip this thing open. Ooh, we've got some color diagrams. That is great to see. Those are in the back though, so we'll hang on a second. We'll cover those at the end. First things first here though, we've just got a quick overview of all the parts on the sprue for a little reference help if you're trying to find a part, you can't find it. Step 1, we're assembling our cockpit. Pretty sparse in there. Looks like we're relying on just a few decals for most of the detail. Step 2 is attaching the fuselage halves. And they do call out that you need weight for the nose here. If you haven't built a tricycle landing gear aircraft like this, it will be a tail sitter. It won't sit properly on the wheels unless you add some weight. So gonna have to find something to put in the nose there. We'll cover that in the construction process. Step 4, looks like all the details on the outside of the fuselage, attaching the MG ports there and the intake on the front of the nose. And yes, there is an intake cover there, so that's good. Help cover up that blocked off nose. The bottom, this is the underside of the aircraft. We're going to attach our landing gear. Got those lovely split piece tires. Gonna have to do some cleanup there, but should all go together pretty well, hopefully. Step 6 is attaching our canopy. Again, pretty straightforward there. So we'll just have to mask that up all nice and put those on. Still not sure if I'm going to put the canopy on open or closed. We'll figure it out as it goes along and see how the build goes. Step 7 here is dedicated to our drop tanks. Looks like we've got a couple different variants depending on which marking scheme you're going to go with. And then step 8, if you want to do the Bundesluftwaffe aircraft, is dedicated to those 2 Sidewinder missiles. And they don't call for it earlier, but you're going to have to drill some holes in the bottom of the wing if you want to do that version. So, worth noting. So to our color guides here, we've got a beautiful color rendition of our Bundesluftwaffe aircraft here. A lot of color, love that red. This would look lovely sitting in anybody's collection, really. I think it's a nice pop of color. Tempting to do this one. I don't think I'm gonna do it this time, but it is a beautiful aircraft, so that's a nice scheme. Here is our US Air National Guard. Looks like the New Jersey Air National Guard here. Basic natural metal finish here. In the US ANG markings. Love that big blue lightning bolt, that's pretty cool. Our third scheme, Scheme C, is our Italian Air Force scheme. Pretty basic, similar to the US Air National Guard one in that natural metal finish. And we've got the Italian roundels on there. Another nice option. And then our fourth and final one is our Canadian Air Force Sabre. Got the maple leaves on there. I like that tail stripe, that forward chevron tail stripe. That's kind of nice. So anybody, our Canadian Air Force fans out there, if you want to make a Canadair Sabre, you can do that as well. So that rounds out our instruction booklet. Before we wrap this up, let's just take a peek at those aftermarket decals that I mentioned. Do a quick overview of those. So this first sheet here, this is from Caracal. This is printed by Microscale. And these are just our basic buzz numbers, which should help us replicate pretty much any US Air Force Korean War Sabre scheme we want to do. So those are definitely going to come in handy because I still don't know which scheme I want to do here. And then this second pack, this is from Warbird Decals. These guys make some great stuff. These are just common stencils and markings here. I wanted to pick this up as well, just in case either A, the Italeri decals aren't the best quality, or B, not all of the stencils are there, because you know, with jets there are a ton of decals there. So I was happy to pick that up as well. So yeah, that's everything I've got for this project. Super stoked to take this on. Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed that unboxing video. I'm super excited to get going on this kit. And if you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. So when I make the next video for the build process and the one after that for the painting and finishing process, you'll be the first one to find out about those. Alright, and before we call it quits today, I just want to talk a little bit about the group build that I mentioned at the beginning of this that I'm building this kit for. It's called the Cold War Birds group build, and it's hosted by Sprue Cutter Models and Scale Model Canuck on Instagram. Two awesome guys, really nice guys, and super talented builders. And this group build basically is going to run from January 1st, 2022, which is already passed at the time of posting this video, through March 1st, 2022. And there's only a couple things you have to keep in mind. You have to build an aircraft of some sort, either fixed wing or rotary, so helicopters are okay. And the first flight of the aircraft has to be between 1945 and 1975, so right in the sweet spot of the Cold War there. So my F-86 was first flight, I think, was in 1947, so we're good. This group build is open to anybody, so if you're on Instagram, or if you're not on Instagram, get on there. You can post your stuff, make sure you find a kit that qualifies in that time frame, and post your stuff using hashtag #ColdWarBirds, and you can follow along with all the awesome stuff that other folks are doing, contribute to the community. There's lots of great folks out there that are willing to give some really good advice, and everybody's super nice. So if you're interested in joining the group build, you want to make something yourself and share it with the world, hop on Instagram, check out hashtag #ColdWarBirds, and if you don't want to build something, if you're just into this and you want to see what some other folks are coming up with, there's some awesome stuff out there already. I think at the time of recording, a couple people have already finished, and they're beautiful builds. Yeah, hop on Instagram, check out hashtag #ColdWarBirds, and you can see all the awesome stuff folks are working on. Thanks again so much for watching today, guys. Until next time, be well, happy building, cheers.